Well, there you are again. Welcome to my lair. Charlie Greer podcast. Again, I do this every day. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite actors of all time. Big influence on me. Jerome Curly Howard. Curly from the Three Stooges. Awesome. Poor guy, though. He does shit. They worked they worked him like rented mules, and I don't think they got paid that much. Again, they made a little bit of money, but yeah, Curly Howard, dead at 48. Hell, I've outlived Curly. I got 3 years on Curly. So yeah, Jerome Curly Howard was one of the original Three Stooges. I mean, they were the Stooges before the movie, but anyway, I'm not going down that. No. So his brother Mo was one, and then Larry Fine. But after Curly, his other brother Shep took over. So there was Shep, Mo, and Curly. I think they're from Brooklyn. They changed the world, man. I mean, Curly to me is one of the best actors. I mean, the old comedic act, his presence, what he did, and how it's held up. That stuff is still. I mean, some of it's kind of in there later, but man, when they were on it, that stuff they did in the 30s and early 40s, man, bam. When I was a kid, that was my favorite show. My grandfather, Willard Greer, his favorite shows were Three Stooges and Gunsmoke. And I talked about this in the other podcast, but the only time I'd see him, he would revert back to like a kid or something. He'd get up in the morning, it was all early in the morning, watching Three Stooges and just laughing. And I never seen him like that because he's always kind of stern and just, So we kind of bonded on Three Stooges. Like I'd get up in the morning and have coffee with them and love the Stooges. And again, Gunsmoke. So it was like Three Stooges, and he would change the channel, watch his Gunsmoke with this. And he loved Curly. He kind of looked like Curly too. His hair was short, and but they all like that's, to me, it's the most genius shit that, I mean, and genuine. That's another thing. He's doing it genuinely. You know how hard it is to be like, for one, a genuine laugh is the hardest thing to do on camera. Crying is tough, but laughing, like people, because you're not acting like, no. You have to be like genuine, suspension of disbelief. Like you think that's Curly. Curly was a ladies' man. There's pictures, look, thick hair, and he was married 4 times. Shit. That was a character. Matter of fact, when they were like, hey, we got to get our brother Jerome in the group, they're like, oh no, he's too handsome. He had a mustache and his thick hair, and I'll be right back. And they went and shaved his head and his mustache, come back. He's Curly, He was called Babe. His nickname was Babe. And then Mo married a woman whose nickname was Babe. So they were like, Curly, because they didn't want to get him mixed up. And that stuck. But his comedic timing and the physical demand on his body, like they used to break everything over his head. I know that's like Hollywood stuff, but shit, take after take after take. And back then, Hollywood, man, those lights were hot, and I don't even think there was a union yet. They treated you rough, and he had multiple strokes and stuff like that. He wasn't well. Again, and they knew it. They asked for time for him to get time off. No, he was also, another thing I like about Curly, he was a dog person like me. He always had dogs. He saved dogs like I do. I give people dogs and I save them, and that's just what I do. And he had it in his script. I think it was at Paramount, where he's like, look, I got to bring my dogs along. And they're like, look, okay, you can only bring 2 at a time. They don't be the same 2, but you can't be bringing like 10 dogs. I guess he's showing up with every kind of dog and just giving them away. And there's pictures of him. You can Google his name and you'll see him with dogs saved. How? This any kind of stray dog. That says a lot about someone, man. I don't trust people that don't like animals. That's a tell. I don't like that. So I don't want them around. So me and Curly, I think we just hit it right off. Me and Curly, Jerome. But I was so young. I was like, what are they doing? I didn't know what an actor, actress, director, producer, didn't know. So I was like, what are they doing? Well, they're movie stars, they're actors, like actors, movie stars. That's what I want to be. No, Charles David, you'll never be at that. See, Curly was probably my big first influence, and to this day, like, you think of all the people he inspired, man. The kids and everybody. My grandfather's is just tough as nails, but man, he would soften up when he was watching Three Stooges. And he liked the Curly years the best, and then Shep was okay. But then the other dude, I forgot his name, and he didn't like that. He'd watch it, but he was like, save that Curly. And I mean, Curly, man, they were, I mean, he had some problems. They had like a 6-month off period where he needs rest. He had a stroke or something. He needs to just like chillax a bit. And no, she was absolutely not. And they booked him on some like 2-month residency in a theater in New York, or maybe it was 4 months. He only got like a couple weeks, and then he was back on, and then he was having strokes again. He had a stroke in the director's chair of one of the last movies. I think it was the last movie he did with Three Stooges. They're like, okay, get on set, and he just went and had a fucking stroke. And he was living, dude, like the North Hollywood actor, hospital for actresses and actors that are, I don't think they made that much money. Again, they made money, but not like, they didn't own any of that Three Stooges stuff. That wasn't their, intellectual property. They were probably paid when they worked. They had a salary, and that was it. Hey, your own health care, you're on your own. You think that they would want to keep him as healthy as possible. Now, granted, he might have been living like shit. I don't know. But I heard he ate a lot, and didn't do well. And I guess, back then, doctors, when did he die? He died like in the early 50s. So it wasn't just, they tried. He was in and out of hospitals. But everybody's ripped off Curly, man. His old confidence, doing something stupid and genuinely doing it like it's genuine. When people are doing slapstick, they just don't, what you just don't, it's not believable. The suspension of disbelief. You just know he's being a fool. Curly, hell, he was like Marlon Brando with that comedic shit. And he used dramedy. Comedy he also had some drama. That was like his, and his voice and his expressions and again, the yuck is just the coolest shit. I could do that all day. I could walk around going driving people crazy. Like, dude, you better shut up. But Jerome Curly Howard, I was a kid. I'm like, what are they? I knew people were on TV, but I was like an actor, movie star. You don't really get it as a kid. You hear it, but you're not. Like, they can do this for a living? Like, well, yeah. Well, how do I start? Well, you can't. That's just another world. And I'm like, why isn't everybody an actor and a movie star? I guarantee you, man, you name someone. They might not break, but if you brought up Curly, they'll be like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit. I've heard Kiss, Gene Simmons talking about how he is old, everybody. He was a genius, man, Jerome Howard. They weren't taken seriously. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, how hard that is, demanding, difficult. And they were older. Is it a coincidence that he took all most of the damage, yet he died at 46? Strokes and shit and the demand on your body. You've watched the Three Stooges. I'm sure he had a stunt double, but a lot of that was just, take after take after take, long days. They just don't shoot that in an hour. And they'd go for like 2 weeks straight. And he was doing the theater residency when he was sick, and the studio wouldn't allow 7 days a week. I think it was 2 shows a day too. 7 days a week. That's rough. That's brutal. I wonder how many dogs he's seen. I saw this picture, man. He had so many dogs around, and he was just like, if you'd see a dog running down the road, or he just grab it and keep it, or give it away. Get it well. And that says a lot about a person. And he had 4 wives. I mean, that's gonna take that's gonna take a lot out of you. And he was living that life. That movie star, just okay, give him amphetamine in the morning and sleeping pills at night, and see this whole thing. By the time he was 48, he looked like he's shit. I mean, just the demand on him. Just forget about the mental stress, and then the physical stress of doing all that, shit. Running around that little thing he would do. I mean, running and going and falling, take after take. He got the front, getting slapped. I mean, that's another thing. It's like something, maybe that's why he had all these strokes, like a head injury kind of. He was like a football player. And they didn't do much. Again, like the studio, why would they not? I don't get it. Or they're making you money, man. Give it a rest a bit. Give him 6 months in the convalescent home or something. Just let him chill. I watched this thing on YouTube. He was eating like rice and apples because they're trying to lose weight. Back then, I don't know if they had the medicine but he was a cash register. He was bringing in money. So we can't have that. They just don't care. They don't give a damn, man. They're just like, well, hell, fuck him. After he's made you built studios and shit. Like, I don't get it. It takes a psychopath or a sociopath to do that. To be like, no, just put him out. I don't care. Fuck, he's gone. Who's next? 5% to 8% of the population is sociopathic or psychotic. I mean, that's a thing. Probably more. That's what they know. To run a studio, you got to be kind of heartless and cold, but not like, come on, he's curly, And again, he was a ladies' man. He had like a thick head of hair, and he was pictures of him like, hey, he made up the curly. He wasn't just like, oh, he's curly. Kind of like, no, he invented that character. And again, they were already doing shit like that in vaudeville, but it wasn't until because he was the youngest, I think he was, of the brothers. Mo was his brother. They don't really look alike, but they're brothers, man. And Shep was his other brother. And they tried. Again, he had a stroke in the director's chair, and there's like, get him out of here. That's it. We're running behind, that kind of cold-hearted shit. It's brutal, man. Fucking poor Curly. And that he had it written in his contract that he had to bring his dogs. I think that's the coolest thing. You can only bring 2, Curly. What? Only 2? At a time, you can bring 2 different dogs, but they got I'm sure he did. Every day he's had 2 dogs. And there's a picture I saw online of him, like it looks like his backyard, and he's kneeling down, smiling like he's so happy, and he's got all these mutts around. Like some are big, some are small, and there's stories of him like he would see the stray dogs, hungry, kind of pissed, ain't not trusting you yet. He would save them. That takes time. I've done that. My dog now, Simon, he was left by a roommate. He was like mean. I never petted him, but he lived at the house. I was like, fuck, they're going to take him to the LA pound. No, he's going to stay here. I'll sweet talk him with snacks. And I did. He's changed a lot. He's old. He just turned 18. He's got epilepsy. He's blind. He's a happy dog. Because he's got my other dog, PJ, of course, she's right there on the bed behind me. scratching. I just went through the flea, went to wars with the fleas with her, and then washing her. I can get flea stuff and flea shampoo, and she hates it. She won't talk to me. She won't, look at me like, "What are you doing? Well, you got fleas." And Simon don't get no fleas, so I'm sure Curly is doing the same thing. He has to deal with these stray dogs, and they got to take them to. They got worms or whatever. He's taking them to the veterinarian, and I'm sure he gave people dogs. I mean, he was, hey, you need a dog? That's cool. Forget about movie star. Just do you. And that tells a lot about someone. It's like, look, man, I'm going to be me. I like dogs. Yeah, I got some money. I'm Curly. I'm famous, but I could be, I'm just going to do what I like to do. Hang out with dogs. And get married. Because he got married 4 times. One of them was like a 2-week romance, and he got married. It's a dude that I get that, but you need to know someone a little bit longer than 2 weeks. Do a background check. Help. And how different Mo and Curly were. I mean, they're brothers. And that hairdo that Mo had basically is like a Beatles do. And they were rock and roll. I mean, the Three Stooges. I think they were short. See, back in the day when you were at the theater, they would show a short. La 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 la. And they needed a bunch of them, so they would shoot like in a 2-week period. There's no telling how many they shot. Pardon me. And again, the stress, the mental stress. That's when they had to rechange these cameras were huge back then. And it took a while. Okay, cut. We got to take 2 hours to load the film, or a light busted, one of these old lights hot, and again, I don't think there was any union where they were like, they'd work them. You're here till it's done, and again, I guess not other actors looking down on like, oh, the Tyrone Powers or whoever the fuck was back then. Oh, he's not an actor. Hell, you try doing what he's doing. And they didn't give him, I'm surprised he didn't have like his own like movie or get him a leading man. That'd have been great. Like, look, grow your hair back out, your mustache. We'll put you in a lead role. It'll be great. And then we can maybe make it a twin movie where you got a brother, then you shave first in the part, we'll have your hair, we'll shave your head, we'll shoot the rest of it. I don't see why they didn't do that. I mean, he's making money. He's got potential. Why don't you? I don't know. I don't get it. That they wouldn't have. And again, they knew. Like, dude, he just had a stroke. He needs a little bit of time. Nope. He better be on set. Come on, what? Don't you have a heart, man? My heart's filled with money. Big inspiration on me. And even my personality, just like kind of like not taking it, and things I would do. I do that little turnaround he did. One leg is stationary, and you just kind of kick around. I said all the time on stage. You stay yep on stage. You know what I mean? I was a shit. Ripped him off. Wholesale amounts, just and loving the Three Stooges. It's held up. Now, some of those older ones with, but the Three Stooges, man. And again, they're doing so well. The other people, the bit player, they're the ones that, I don't know, they're doing that kind of moxie acting. And the Three Stooges were doing goddamn, shit like the James Dean of comedy. They were just better actors. The suspension of disbelief. You just thought that they were, who else could they be? They have to be that. No, they're not. Next time you watch Three Stooges, watch them and then watch how everybody else is acting. They had this kind of cool, calm, and collected that how people act now. Whoa, like taking beats and stuff. Watch it when all the other basically extras, but they had, the cops. They always running from the cop. Oh, see, I'm gonna everybody talk like this. The Three Stooges were like just kind of Brando. I mean, they had just just when everybody else is around them cackling like chickens and shit. That's tough to do. And maybe that they didn't look like that. They're like, hey, you got to start acting. Say, well, that's not what we do. So we have to like make it real. I'm sure they were fighting the whole way. I'm sure there were line producers and this, that, and the other on there. Just I would have loved to be hanging out with Curly and his dogs, man. I like when my IMDb, when I was filling out my IMDb profile back in the day, they ask you like, who's your favorite actors? I forgot to put Curly, but I did put oh God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. But he played the Cowardly Lion in damn, what's his name? Anyway, I've always had like, I always like comedians or comedic drama, the dramedy actor. Someone that wasn't too, Bert Lahr. That's it, Bert Lahr. He played the Cowardly Lion. And he is, Bert Lahr was, I named him. I'm like, he's one of the Cowardly Lion. On my Facebook, what makes a muskrat guard his musk? Courage. That's Bert Lahr doing the Cowardly Lion. I live like that. What makes a muskrat guard his musk? Courage. That's my fucking mantra. But he's doing it funny and he's trying to be dead serious. But again, that's hard to pull off. Take after take. How many times did he have to? What if they knew each other? I bet they did. Again, The Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite movies. I could watch it every day. I mean, I'm just, and guys like Curly Howard, Bert Lahr, and they're way before my time. But that to me, because once I got to a certain, I could think for myself. It's like, look, I ain't gonna be a leading man. Look at me. I'm gonna what they call a character actor, and I'm not, I got to be me. I got to mix it up a little bit. I knew right off the bat, even when I went to LA, even when I started taking acting classes, I knew this. It's like, man, I'm not going to be Burt Reynolds. I'm not. I got a boyish kind of and a big ass nose. It's been busted. It ain't going to happen. So what do I do? I'm going to be a character actor. That's all when I moved to, from the first thing I did till I moved to LA in '98, I let people know. And I was like, dude, don't submit me to this. For one, I don't want the heartache and pain of memorizing all this shit and spending weeks and not getting the role. Give me something further down the trough. Maybe be like second, third fiddle. I got it. People would move to LA and they would be, I'll be the next Superman. Dude, what? At least I knew I wasn't delusional. You gotta have a little delusion, but that wasn't gonna be me. I knew this is who I am. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm good at. I can be like a character. I got that from the Three Stooges. Now, granted, they're kind of the all three lead, but even how good and the Howards, Mo and Curly, Larry Fine, who I love, Larry. You could tell he wasn't. They made him. Those two were shining out. I didn't know watching that they were brothers, Curly and Mo. I had no clue till later on. I don't even think my grandfather knew. This is before the internet. He loved Curly and Mo. He loved the Three Stooges. He hated everything. Three Stooges and Gunsmoke. That was it. Boom, done. And they're totally different, spectrums of the. And the actor that played Festus, man, Festus, forgot his name. He was a brilliant. He was like a Broadway actor. Like he just knew how to do shit. I think he was a song and dance man too. Festus You don't think of him except being festive. Ah, see, son of a. He probably got that off Curly. He probably was a huge Three Stooges fan. They all were. If they tell you they're not, they're for one, I don't want to be around them. Two, they're lying. Curly Howard was like the fucking Brando of comedic acting. They should have a school and they should study his shit. He should have a fucking statue somewhere. All the Three Stooges. Even the other, at the end, that one, I don't even know his name. Larry Fine, too. I mean, Larry was, but again, when you up against those Howards, they were talented, new. Of course, they've been through vaudeville and shit. That's live, day after day, 2 shows a day, 7 days a week. Just go. Hard work. Yeah. I would, man, if I could go back in time, I'd be like, oh, if you could meet anybody, Jerome Curly Howard and maybe Burt Lahr. Those people were the ones that gave me the most joy. Who I related to. I related to the Cowardly Lion. You look kind of tough, but inside you're just kind of a softie. Again, you're a lion, but you don't want to sell everybody. But then again, you're like, hey, I like to adopt dog. I got to tell everybody that. Back in like 2002, I moved back to St. Louis. My mom had like a Rathskeller apartment, like it used to be like the maid's quarters, and I moved downstairs, and I'd save dogs. And she's like, "Don't you bring any more dogs?" I was like, "Well, I mean, hell, if I find a little." So I found a dog in the alley, crying. I just picked him up, and shit, I'm taking him home. And she was pissed. You brought another dog. I told you. I already had my dog. But okay, let's get him a box. We'll get him a blanket and a pillow in there. And she knew she would get a clock, the ticking of a clock, those old round clock. It actually will, that noise, it's kind of like a heartbeat or something. They will relax. So I don't know how she learned that, but she'd put a clock in the, so, she's like, he is kind of cute, and, but he's going to the pound. Tomorrow. You're taking him to the, okay. Knowing in my mind, he ain't going to, I'll hide him in the basement. And I had him upstairs in the box. I heard my mom up and around and like, sweet talk. I heard her like, well, I get up there before I could say anything. She's like, he ain't going nowhere. Don't I say, no. I named him Elvis. What we didn't know, because he was like this big, he was a puppy. He was a chow mix. He turned into this huge. I gave him to a friend. They had him for a while. You need a dog? I got a little Curly Howard in me, I guess. I didn't know that Curly was a dog whisperer or whatever. I wish I'd have known. I didn't know till later on, till the YouTube and the internet. But I've done that. I mean, I've saved so many dogs, and I've always had a dog. Even in Hollywood, I had my dog. Nobody, especially like for one, trying to find a place. That was another thing. Why I had to go in my financial stuff. I sometimes could afford because they wouldn't allow dogs. So it's like, shit, I got to move into this old fucking place because I wanted my dog. Yeah, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe that's what, there's something wrong with him. More people I meet, the more I want to hang out with my dogs. I'm not antisocial. But your dog's your best friend, man. Curly knew this. He probably needed that love from dog because he's around all those studio heads that are just like, they're talking, I made how many million next week? We'll make this much money. And he's like, whoa, shit, I'm having strokes. I'm not well. No, go. Can you imagine going to a boss and like, look, man, I had a stroke on set or whatever, and I need some time. Give me 6 to 8 weeks. No. What you signed that contract? I'm not the one that say you signed it. But hey, isn't there like a stipulation in there? Nuh-uh. Unless you're gonna pay us, this okay. I gotta get fucked. Poor Curly. If they just gave him like a year or two off, maybe a personal trainer, some dietitian, I don't even know what the fuck. A doctor. You know what? He could attributed a lot. He did. That's another thing. I don't want to put. He did contribute. To this day, again, it holds up. Those Stooges, again, the later ones later on, you know, but the ones that they shot like in the 30s and early 40s are spot on. And I still laugh. Again, it's gumshoe. It's you know, it ain't for everybody. You know, these sophisticated minds that take everything literal, they're not going to get the Three Stooges. It's kind of abstract in that kind of weird comedic way. It's dumb. You know how hard that is to pull off genuinely? It looks easy. See, that's another thing. It looks easy. See, anybody could know. Nuh-uh. Brutal. Brando couldn't do it. Montgomery Clift could not even get close to James Dean was just like, no, I can't, you know. We've got to take our hats off to the Howards. Shep too. But certainly Curly and Mo. And they were tight. You know, again, they vaudeville and shit. Touring around, pulling trunks. This is before, you gotta get on the train after the gig and with these big trunks, you know, wooden trunk. Shit. No wonder he fucking, and of course he was probably living life, you know, had some movie star money, eating everything under the sun. I don't know if he was a drinker, but maybe he smoked too. But I love Curly. I've always mentioned Curly and everything. I just, it kind of inspired me to be an artist. Like if he can do, that's what they're doing. That's what I want to do. No, you got to get that out of your head, Charles David. No. I was like a little stubborn. No, that's what I want. I want to do that. And I'd emulate him running around the neighborhood and look at me like, what the fuck? So thank you, Curly Howard, Jerome Curly Howard. Thank you. Thank you, Mo Howard. Thank you, Shep Howard. And I'm pissed at these studio people, man. Nobody's around, but I mean, come on. Should have given him a little time off. You know, shit, how much money do you need? I guess a lot. I guess you're going to work dudes to death. Working Curly Howard to death, man. Well, be blessed, Curly. I love you. And I love y'all. I do this every day. I'll be back tomorrow. Rant like a madman. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Cheers.